and welcome. It's day 2 and it's the daily wrap at Money 2020. I'm Gina Clark, the European Content Director, and I'm joined with Nick Holland, our Global Head of Research here at Money 2020.
Hey Gina, how's it going?
It's really good. I think, though, to be honest, I've had such a whirlwind of a day, and you've been locked in the exchange.
They let me out for a few minutes to record a podcast, but yeah, basically I'm living in the dark now. I'm the mole man sort of creature.
I have heard some great reviews, though, and especially stages, obviously we'll get to the main stage in a minute, but stages like the Impulse and the Planetarium, which have really come alive today. But
yeah.
Focusing on that exchange, is there anything that stood out for you?
2 sessions were absolutely blinding today. So first one was, we had a discussion, day 2, it's like OnlyFans Unplugged. So we had Lee Taylor, who is the CFO with OnlyFans, being interviewed by our very own Zach Anderson-Pettit. So can't give away anything because it was candid and a little adult in nature. But some very interesting statistics, and again, I can't release any further information because of, pornography.
That's the thing about the exchange, though. It's that platform where we can let those conversations just unfold.
Right. Well, again, what was fascinating, I think the big takeaway is how little adult content is actually on OnlyFans, which is one of the things we discovered there, and how legitimate they're becoming as a platform. So again, I think it was fascinating to have them here, having Lee and the rest of their team here. Again, head to head with brands like Visa, Tink, Stripe. Really sort of, again, fascinating discussion. They have to monetize content, so really, some innovative models they're working on right now.
Definitely, and I know the creator content is strong this year at Money 2020, but today is also a really special day because it's World Oceans Day, and I think in the exchange you had a conversation there as well.
We did, yes. I always like to add that, Fintech is about dolphin prosthetics, and today it really was. So, so yes.
It's your favourite joke.
It's my only joke, which is what's kind of sad, really. But no, fascinating discussion. Talking obviously about how everyone needs to do their part in terms of ESG, environment, social governance, and particularly, again, the payments industry being no different. So you're looking at the types of plastic that are going into oceans. How can we be better at having the plastic cards in our wallet be greener? So that was part of the discussion. But yeah, overall, I mean, clearly. ESG is a very hot topic right now, and rightly so, because, global warming.
Definitely. I know we had some great ESG panels yesterday that were picked up, but also taking that kind of context of why are we talking about these topics at Money 2020? Aren't they, nothing to do with fintech?
Right.
And then we always find a fintech reason to talk about it.
Well, it's inextricably linked. I mean, everything has a payments layer somewhere in it. So, I think... like I say, OnlyFans clearly it's about monetizing content and for their creators. ESG again is the sort of clearly safe disposal of the byproducts of payments. And then we had the book launch for our very own Scarlett Sieber, Embedded Finance with her and Sophie Gibault, and again, very well attended. I believe the book is now an Amazon bestseller, but yeah, in fact, the launch party is going on right now. So
that doesn't surprise me. Bestseller already. Well done, Scarlett. Excellent. I mean, there's been so many topics. I went down to the Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll Club earlier, which is a vibe, I have to say.
Is it anything to do with payments? And yes, it is. Yes.
The fact you can have a Bloody Mary at 10 o'clock is quite unusual at a fintech
Did you get tattooed? Because they do have to
No,
have a tattoo.
I'm yet to get a tattoo. I will be inked before the end of day 3, though, believe me. But
so again, we've had OnlyFans here. We've got Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll. Tell me about the drag queen as well.
Oh yes, we had. Oh, that was amazing. So at lunchtime we had our very own drag act come on, and it's our huge access stage. So when you come into Money 2020, you are on camera. You've got the big access stage behind you, and she played host with this amazing music. And slowly the layers got taken off, and there was a bit of crawling on the floor going on, and everyone was just a bit like, this is new.
It's one of my favourite things about this year of Money 2020 is a lot of the cognitive dissonance. So, I'm still getting, people come into the exchange. It is a weird experience. You go through these tunnels into a room full of people in lab coats that check you, and then bring you into a room with huge clocks that suddenly goes white. people look genuinely scared when that happens. And I'm like, and I kind of enjoy that. You kind of relish that they are somewhat uncomfortable in what would be normally a very dull type conference. It would be around sort of financial services. And now this is really legitimately, I think we can use the name show, right?
Yeah,
it is a show.
You are the ringmaster of the exchange. It's like your circus.
Yeah, it's like the Willy Wonka of Money 2020. Yes.
And I know over on our other stages, we've had a real kind of focus today, both on NFTs and the Metaverse.
Yeah.
And our planetarium stage, which, if you haven't seen it, is beautiful. Greenery all over the wall that's alive, it's living, there's a glass floor, so you see them gingerly walk onto the stage, make sure they're not going to fall through it. And then today we had NFTs, which was, we had people standing at the back, great people talking like...
So I mean, that is interesting in its own right, because I mean, we haven't had many NFT sessions, and I frankly start to think that NFTs have maybe sort of jumped the shark, or whatever the European analogy is for that. I mean, like, jumping the shark is an analogy from Happy Days.
Oh, I'm learning things.
You know that?
I know
does that exist here? But you said it's standing remotely, right?
It was standing remotely, yeah. So we had Vlad Panchenko from D-Market on there. We had some great people talking, and the audience was just there for it. They were just couldn't wait to hear what's coming next.
And what about the Metaverse sessions?
The Metaverse, we had that in our Empel stage. We had 2 sessions back to back. The first was on infrastructure, and then the second was on how fintech can get involved. And again, Steve Suarez from HSBC. HSBC are doing some amazing things in the Metaverse.
So here's the thing that kind of I wonder about is, because I'm not sure about the Metaverse personally. I'm not sure I want to go to a bank in the Metaverse any more than I want to go to a supermarket in the Metaverse. But it's obviously a huge opportunity for innovation and creativity. It's a total blank canvas at this point.
Definitely.
But also, you could really mess it up with iterations that are just not very good. So, yeah.
It was very lively. There's quite a lot of people just still finding their way. But the conversations and how forward-looking it was great to hear.
So I had, on the theme of all things crypto, metaverse, NFT, Web3, that kind of stuff, I had a great conversation for the Money Pot podcast, which we recorded today with my friend and colleague Rachel Morrissey, with JB Graftio, who is the European CEO of Bitstamp.
Oh, amazing.
And again, he had some great stats. They've been doing some fairly big research reports, global reports, tens of thousands of participants. So it's a good sort of taking the temperature of what's happening in crypto. Given what's happened the last few months, past weeks even, with Luna and the stuff we've seen with obviously Coinbase, and I think Mr. Armstrong maybe saying the quiet bit out loud was a bit, a bit volatile for the industry, and the ongoing Mr. Musk and his, tweet storms. They said actually that the confidence that they're seeing in crypto is still very, very strong. And I was like a little skeptical, but again, the data speaks for itself. It's a big sample size, it's global, and I think sometimes we look through the lens of the countries that we operate in or view on, but there's, again, very big, very secure in Latin America, Africa, places like that. It's really, again, I think we tend to look through our, our own little microcosm, but the macrocosm of crypto is pretty solid.
Absolutely, and those big topics. There was crypto brought up on the main stage today, our big picture stage, and you talked about things that were coming up recently, and I think sometimes when you're planning these events for so long, you kind of lose that fresh edge. Which is why I was so happy to see today a panel on fintech, what fintech can do to help conflict and displacement, specifically Ukraine. And this was amazing. We had MasterCard stand up and give us a special announcement. They're launching a new start path in conjunction with Ukraine. And then we had this panel, and I think we've got a clip of it now. Shall we watch it?
Yeah, I'd love to,
We are, as the lady here, we are economy front here, because as the economy works, the military stands for us here in Ukraine. So it's huge attempts from our side.
It's really beautiful to have that collaboration indeed with the diaspora, which indeed it's mostly female, because men were not allowed out of the country to a certain extent, and to be able to support your country in that way as well.
So female Ukrainian ladies support and make everything possible for our Ukraine stand up.
Wasn't that amazing? I mean, The way they spoke on stage, the audience was burst into spontaneous rounds of applause multiple times. It was spine-tingling.
Yeah.
So good. But there was other panel sessions on today that we had. We had one about the orchestration layer within banking because, this is a Fintech event. Right. So
it would be hard not to talk about orchestration layers. It's obviously a word that comes up quite often. I think it's probably on our Fintech bingo card somewhere, but orchestration, absolutely critical.
Definitely. And then, we've had some other great panels. What I was most surprised to see is the big bank onside the big tech company. So we had Google Cloud in conversation with Deutsche Bank, and that was also very well attended. People just couldn't believe they were talking to each other. Not only talking to each other, working with each other, and going beyond that SLA kind of. I've even heard that Google Cloud has gone into Deutsche Bank and is teaching them directly the technology.
Yeah.
So amazing. And I think we have a clip of it again, so take a look at that.
Google in principle is always looking to augment our strategy. And our strategy is we are offering high-performing secure infrastructure. We are offering a platform which is open cloud, open standards based. We are not in the business, at least not to my knowledge, but for the time being, in application. We leave that space strategically to others.
And there we go. So who would have thought? A big bank and then a big cloud company like Google talking to each other.
Yeah, well, I mean, not the only cloud, we'll start talking about tomorrow, but not the only cloud thing that we're discussing. So I've got a session called My Cloud, My Choice with it's about Gaia X and Atos. And again, clearly cloud is a big topic still. And the ability
the whole issue of data sovereignty is huge. I mean, you're talking about cloud tomorrow, but we had self-sovereign identification earlier on. So I think identity, privacy is still such a hot topic.
It's certainly, well, and here's the other thing as well. I mean, I think Dave Birch was on the money a few years ago when he said identity is the new money. And I think we're certainly seeing more and more conversations about how identity is becoming really the epicenter of payments in some respects.
Definitely. Now, if we just kind of maybe cross back to that metaverse conversation that we were talking about earlier and pick it up, because I think we've got a clip from one of the metaverse panels that was on earlier on, and this was how to build the economy of the metaverse, so quite a technical one. And here's a clip, backstage of course, because we only go backstage with Money 2020, and it's Anthony Trenchov, co-founder of Nexo.
One thing I would like the audience to take away from my talk today is the fact that the metaverse is in its infancy, but at the same time it is terribly exciting because the metaverse, when built out, will not be another layer upon the existing economy. It is going to be a whole new world where some of the laws of physics, of finance, of everything will apply, but certain will not. And that has me and the company that I am at, Nexo, terribly excited. One piece of advice I would give to a company trying to work for the metaverse is get financing right now before all the Fed hikes and before the business cycle presents the challenges to secure financing. The next year for Nexo is really exciting. We have a bunch of retail products coming up. We announced this partnership with MasterCard where we brought the world's first crypto credit card to the market. This is going to be in a few new markets throughout the world. Right now it's available in Europe. We have a few things for the Prime offering, and we have some exciting things such as bank licenses on the horizon, so do make sure to tune in at nexo.io. Being at Money 2020 is very important to me because I still like a physical event. It's one of the top tier events that is organized both in the US and in Europe, and if you attend both of them, you got the B2B absolutely covered. And it is just a phenomenal experience after the lockdowns, just being able to walk around and talk to people without having to worry about some of the challenges we had in the past.
I love talking about the metaverse because I still feel that I don't know enough to be confident, but I'm learning, and I love learning about it.
I'm pretty skeptical, and it has yet to be proven to me. I think the closest I've come is probably Second Life about 10 years ago.
I remember
that? Or
well.
Are my kids playing around in Minecraft?
Yeah, mine in Animal Crossing. I think Animal Crossing to me is my version of the Metaverse, to be honest. That's probably as far as I go. But again, crossing back to the main stage, and another backstage clip that we have is from N26's very own Valentine Staff. Should we watch that one as well?
Great hair.
The message that I want the audience to take away from my talk is that challenger banking and neobanking still is in the beginning, and I think there's going to be a massive market disruption over the next 10 years. The biggest challenge that neobanks are facing over the next year is definitely, from my perspective, balancing out short-term profitability and short-term growth, and kind of balancing that out with the market share you want to reach long-term. In order to target new markets and new audiences, we've always been focused in improving our product and going deep into each market. So not just opening a travel account or a base account, but really being a replacement for any traditional bank's salary account. One thing that the industry should be talking about, but isn't, is definitely still the huge opportunity that you have in the fintech space, in the challenger banking space, and the super low competition that we still see everywhere when it comes to banking. Coming to Money 2020, it was important to me to meet again after COVID a lot of fintech people from around the world, especially in Europe. It's one of the leading conferences, and it's always great to be here.
That was great, and I think they were on the main stage talking about culture, and there was a lot to learn from that proposition as well. But moving on to tomorrow, because we're almost at the end of the day, what are you looking forward to?
I am shocked we're more than halfway through at this point. So, not quite tomorrow yet, but we do have our famous street party tonight. So, looking forward to again just networking, hanging out with the fintech people I haven't seen for the last 3 years.
Definitely.
Big consistent vibe here is just how energized people are to be back in person. We had effectively a music festival last night in a field.
That was
Tonight
amazing.
is a street party. Just getting out, chatting with actual real human beings in 3D is kind of a big thing for me right now.
It's novel, I'll put it that way.
Yeah. But I'll tell you about other sessions tomorrow I'm actually really interested in. And again, back to my cave, the exchange. We've got a female founders session on there, which again I'm fascinated to see. I think it's been, and I think observation, a lot of the sessions here, very inclusive. A lot of sort of demographically diverse panels.
Just a quick mention, but I did very briefly nip into our Rise Up Women's celebration this afternoon, and it wasn't only our females from Rise Up that we had there, but this year on International Women's Day we gave away 50 free tickets, and all those women came to join us, and it was just amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So, and then from what I'm looking forward to tomorrow,
I was going to ask you that. Sorry,
I jumped you. Anyway, I'm looking forward to some very important people coming across from the UK. We've got a member of the House of Lords, we've got an MP, and they're going to tell us about a brand new pilot, an industry-led pilot of a digital sterling.
So don't call it a CBDC, right?
It's not government-backed, but it is industry-led. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to hear more. We've got not one but 2 panels back-to-back on that, so definitely really interesting.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Well, it's been lovely chatting to you. But
Always, mate. Yeah.
I think we've reached the end of our Day 2 Money 2020 wrap-up, so thank you for joining us.